In this video, we are going to discuss about managing people. As an entrepreneur, you cannot do everything alone. You need people, you need a team, you need to learn how to get the best out of the people who are on your side. But also, most importantly, you need to inspire them into action. It's impossible to lead people without inspiring them. So we are going to see in the slides that I'm about to share those strategies, the principles, the tips that you can leverage in your business to actually lead people to a given objective or a goal. So this video is by no means an exhaustion of everything you have to know about people, but it's a foundation and foundational content, contains foundational content to actually go ahead and lead people properly. When you watch everything that we're going to share here and you apply it in your business, in your context, you will find that there will be a change in how people perceive you as a business owner, in how customers relate to you, in how employees relate to each other, because everything that happens, if it comes from the head of the business, then it's automatically deployed in every aspect of your business or in every area of your business. So without going further ado, let me go ahead and share my slides right here. Good. How to manage people, strategies and principles to get the best out of people as an entrepreneur. All entrepreneurs don't get the best out of people. Some entrepreneurs get the worst out of people. If you're watching this video, you've been probably part of an organization as an employee, as a consultant, as a stakeholder, a partner, in whichever capacity. You've probably worked with people or with someone who was your manager, your coworker, who did not necessarily bring the best out of you. They probably brought the best, brought the worst out of you because of how they communicate, because of how they operate, because of their work ethic, because of different things. So let me go ahead and organize my screen here so that in case we need to switch, we can switch with ease. So those people are there. They are managers, they are partners, they are co-workers, they are co-founders that don't bring the best out of people. But if you're watching this video, I want you to be amongst the few managers, the few founders, the few CEOs, the few entrepreneurs who know how to bring the best out of people. Because I know if you're watching this video, it is probably because you want to bring the best out of people. The will, you have the drive, the will, the willingness to bring the best out of people. So this is how you do it. So this is a screenshot of the tool that we use. Sorry, this is actually a mistake. I'm going to replace the slide. Is supposed to be people. So part one of managing people or bringing the best out of people is management. So there are 6 management principles that are going to help you as a business owner. These are going to be, they have to be your number one tool in your arsenal when you are managing people. Number one, recruit small groups. Make sure that your company is always understaffed. Why is this very important? It's because when people are understaffed, they work together. When people are understaffed, people are doing slightly higher above what they're supposed to be doing. Work gets done faster. Management becomes easier. Mistakes are reduced, and people do not get complacent. There is no complacency when there is small groups. Now, as the company grows, you can form groups around one specific problem. You can apply the small group principle in terms of the problem and department. For your marketing department, a small group that works on marketing, you will see that the most successful companies in the world are actually not run by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, except maybe for exceptions such as Google and these other Microsoft, big enterprises, but most multi-billion-dollar companies, you'll be surprised by how small their teams are. So they probably know something that we do not know. Okay. Number two, communicate clearly. Communicating clearly is communicating for understanding. So you have given instructions, but you also check if so you have to do feedback loop. You have to close the loop of communication. So you communicate, the person receives it, and then he communicates back that, they got it. So which means you need to check if they did not do it. If they did not understand what you communicated, that's what communicating clearly means. Number three, respect people. I can't stress this enough, because people will leave a company because they simply feel disrespected. They are low regarded, they're not considered, and they will leave. So respecting people and making people feel valued is one of those modes that most companies miss on. Number four, create a productive environment. What is a productive environment? A productive environment is an environment that makes doing the work easier, possible, seamless. It could be in terms of the equipment you give your employees. It could be the environment in the office. It could be the way people talk to each other. It could be the culture of the company, all of that. Because most of the time when they talk about the environment, when they talk about culture, like company culture, people tend to think that a company culture it has become a buzzword. People do not actually understand what is a company culture. If you ask someone, what is a company culture? A company culture is how people operate in that environment. How do we work? Like in a family, you might do something if you visit them and they say, we don't do that here. And that's why values such as respect, communicating clearly is one of the key components of this environment, this company culture, because that's how things are done in this company. In this company, when we send an email, we don't hear back, we send a Slack DM. We reach out to them. We WhatsApp them to ask them if they received it so that we confirm. In this company, we hold ourselves accountable. We don't need management to be on our neck to come. They will do their job because they have to evaluate our performance, but we hold ourselves accountable. Number five, having an aggressive plan. If you are leading someone, it could be a one team member, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need to have an aggressive plan. What is an aggressive plan? An aggressive plan is a plan that challenges the skills and the competence of your team so that they don't feel underutilized. One of the biggest things that causes employee retention is the growth potential in the role. You will see that people switch companies because they say, when you ask them, so why did you switch companies? They say, oh, I could not see, there is no upward mobility, which means there is no way, they don't see themselves growing in this company. Why? Because it's not clear how people progress. So if the plan is not aggressive, if people cannot articulate clearly what they're actually working towards, then it becomes a disadvantage. Number six, measure what you're doing. Give them clear goals, and that's why we have OKRs and KPIs, because these are metrics that you're going to sit with your employee and ask them, look, you were supposed to achieve this, you did not achieve it. What happened? You were supposed to do that, why did you not do it? Now, if you're still watching, I want you to go in the comment section and tell me what is amongst these six, which one are you currently implementing, and which one are you planning to start implementing? Because I know reading this can be, for some people they already do it, but for others it could be intimidating and say, half of these I've never heard of them, or I've never implemented them in my business. So let me know in the comment. And I will answer you, and then we'll interact once you post it, and I'll check on it. Now, one of the management techniques that you can employ in your business is something called forcing function. So a forcing function is a process or constraint that requires an action, decision, or trade-off within a certain time frame. So a forcing function is one of those processes that you implement in your company that are going to allow you to make decisions in a faster way. So it requires an action, a decision, and a trade-off. So you can employ it depending on on a scenario. So let's say you want to go out there and raise money. So that's an action that you have to do. The decision you have to make is, sit with the team and say, okay, this is what we will have to do, and we'll go out there and raise money. Trade-off, it could be, okay, we were supposed to raise money from smaller banks, or we're supposed to raise money from microfinance, but now we're going to, for us to raise more money, also because we want to, you want to raise more money, and the trade-off is going to be the timeline. If the trade-off now is going to be, so for us to raise the desired amount of money, we have to raise from bigger institutions, and the trade-off is going to be time. For smaller banks and smaller institutions, it would have taken maybe a slightly shorter amount of time. But big banks, big money, big time. So it's going to take longer. So that's one of the framework and the mental models that you can use. Now, when it comes to communication, no one can read your mind. You must communicate your objectives, priorities, and preferences. There's something called mind reading fallacy. So we think that because something happened to us, and this happens on both ends, sometimes the manager, sometimes the employees, they think that if it happens, someone saw it. Now, let me break it to you. If no one talked about it, it will probably not get solved. So this thing of thinking that someone knows exactly what you need, and this happens actually a lot for managers. You start blaming your employees, but thinking that they're going to read your mind. If the instructions were not clear, one of the reasons why, and I'm going to attach in the description section of the video on how you can book a call with me, and we talk about, so what we do, we build SOPs for companies, we build systems for companies. And one of the biggest bottleneck that systems get you past is the ability to have instructions that are clear for employees to follow, so that you don't fall for these fallacies, like the mind reading fallacy. When the instructions are clear, when the modes of communication and when things are reported, when how the work is supposed to be done is documented, then you don't have to worry about anything, because people can go ahead and execute without you being there presently. And you don't have to expect them to read your mind, because the instructions are very clear. Even if someone asks you for something, it will be for clarification, but not something fundamental. First in function, we talked about it. So the golden rule of hiring, or the best predictor of future behavior, is past performance, the 2-4-80-30 rule. So if you're going to hire someone and you can look past them, and managers do this thing all the time. And I want to also tie this to another concept. So I was speaking to a friend of mine. So she owns a bakery, and she was telling me, so they recently hired a sales assistant, and she was telling me how poorly she's performing. And when I spoke to her a few days ago, before the conversation where we discussed what I'm about to share, she told me, we had 2 candidates, but there was one that I was really excited about, and another one that I was almost not sure that we should hire. But unfortunately, they ended up going with the one that they were not sure of, that they were uncomfortable. It was like a gut feeling, but that was data. Because when you feel like you're not aligned properly, there's something that is stopping you, you're not sure, don't hire that person. Of course, compare their performance as well. And I've seen this people making these mistakes also. You go with, maybe you're hiring someone because you know them, they're your friends, but you forgot the performance. Because if someone has performed over and over and over and over again, it's probably high probable that they're going to still perform well when you hire them. That's why experience is key. And I've seen this. This is one of the biggest lessons I've actually learned from the 2026 World Cup in diverse matches. I know this was an incredibly polarizing championship, but I saw teams being defeated on the basis of the fact that they're not as experienced as the adversaries, where a team is defeated in the last 5 minutes. They defended for 80 minutes, for 90 minutes, 95 minutes, and then on the 95th or in the extra time, the team actually gets defeated. And that is because of experience. And that's why we hire. Experience is one of those key trait that companies are looking for when they are about to hire someone. So they look at experience, and that's why you should also look at it as an entrepreneur watching this. You cannot ignore experience, because if someone has experience of doing something, performance experience, by the way, it might not be the exact experience in that role, but you see that it's someone who has a track record of getting stuff done. Get the job done. Because if you have not gotten the job done in your previous role and the role before that, it's probably because you are not a top performer, and that's normal. You might not be a top performer because of maybe you were not working on something that were aligned with your natural strength, or you were working on something that is not interesting to you enough to trigger excitement. But the fact is, you did not perform. So when you're hiring people, make sure that you look at their past performance. They might not be 100% aligned with the job you're hiring them for, but a winner always wins. Winners win. That's what they do. Winners always win. Okay? And that's what you have to look for, to hunt for. It's almost as, the way these top MBAs, universities select students, admit students. They're not looking for someone who is just smart in class academically. They're looking for someone who has created impact in the community. They're looking for someone who has bettered a situation in one way or another. They're looking for people who have a track record of solving problems, taking initiatives, because those are the people, when you empower them with the right network and the right resources, they actually tend to change the world. And that is a good brand for these universities. So when Harvard and Stanford and Yale and Wharton Business School, when they are selecting students, they're looking for that. Actually, they benefit from those students than the students benefit from it, because they are building a brand on top of these brilliant minds. So you have to apply the same concept when you're hiring people. It might be someone who is not in the industry, but you can see that this person is a winner. So winners do what? They win all the time. So when something goes wrong, what matters the most is how you handle the problem. Fixating on the issue doesn't help. It's far more productive to focus on options, not issues. That's option orientation. So when an issue arises in the company, you can choose to be a complainer, you can choose to blame as a manager. But I think in terms of company culture, the company culture that you have to install in your company is, when you see a problem, fix it. If you've seen it, you are probably destined to fix it or flag it. Don't see a problem and look away. So this is what we call ownership. So employees have to have that ownership mindset. So it's not their business, but they're part of it. And when you're part of something, you are co-creating that experience, or you're co-creating that that institution. So option orientation is key. Now, planning is the process through which humans form groups around issues they deem important. It's a human instinct to crave a sense of belonging. So this is a phenomenon that you will see when you're managing people, that naturally we tend to gather around the problem. And what I can tell you in terms of managing people, you have to check the pulse of your employees And if they have joined your company, it's because you notice that. Actually, by the way, another important thing when it comes to hiring, you need to hire someone who cares about the work that the company does. It's not about being excited about the money. It's not about being competent technically to do the work, but they also have to care about what they deem important, the problem that they're doing. Because when you're surrounded by people who cares about the problem you're solving, they might not be caring about it, but they care about the problem. They care about the problem. You ask them, so of all companies you could have applied for, tell us the truth. Are you applying for money, or are you applying because you care about the problem? Why do you care about? So prompt them to gauge and see if they truly care about the problem they're solving. When you have at hand someone who care about the problem, so the cloning effect is going to happen naturally, because you will walk in the office one day and you find like groups of people working on these problems. So there is something I've personally noticed in my life, is that even in my professional life, I've seen that when you have hired people who care about the problem you're solving, and it's clear enough, I suppose it has to be clear enough through the communication means that we're just talking about. When those people care about the problem they're solving, these people are going to carry your company forward. Okay, these are the ones who are going to be sharing stories on the internet, how they overcame, and then they will also attract partnership. They will, because when you deem something important, it's very easy to crave belonging, and you want to be part of that team. That's how people end up uh, at companies, and they spend 30 years there because they care about it. If you don't care about the problem you're solving at the company, you'll probably not last there longer. Even if you stay there for money, but you will get exhausted. And the moment you get a chance, you will go. Sometimes people job hop because they're probably not looking for money alone. They're also looking for a company that is solving a problem they care about. And I think that's peak existence. Peak existence for human experience is when you live Monday to Sunday working on problems that you truly care about. And that's why most billionaires, when they reach that level of retirement and they start foundation, they all say the same things. We are going to start a foundation, and we are looking for problems we care about to invest in them. So I think the number one step of deciding if someone joins the company, the questions should be, do they care about the problem we are working on enough to actually join us? If the answer is yes, good. If the answer is no, well, you know what to do. People with a vested interest in something will tend to guide you in the direction of their interest. That's what I'm saying. So when you're working on something, so you cannot have employees in your business that are only there for money. They have to have vested interest. Vested interest could sound something like this: they might not be paying me a lot of money, but I'm building a solid credibility with this company. They might not be paying me a lot of money, but I'm working on a problem that I truly care about. They might not be paying me, a lot of money, but I love the boss. Okay, I love how he leads us and so forth. So incentive caused bias. So people are always like that. We are like, I mean, these psychological traits, when I was doing research on these courses, the modules, what you will see on my channel, I was baffled because, and I talk about this in the video where I covered some psychological terms that are business related. And when you read these biases, the fallacies, the concepts, the tips, you will realize that these are the things that happen to us or around us, but we could not put a pin on it because we did not have the words for it. So when you know incentive caused bias, you will know that you have to give your employees some form of vested interest that will cause them to direct your company in their interest, but also directing the company virtually. So because if you bring in someone in the company who wants to really build their credibility in that industry, that person will shatter the glass ceiling. I can bet my money on that because it is in their best interest to actually. So you have to play on your employees' interest. If you know, if and this is very important. This is why you should ask that person what are their aspirations. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 6 to 2 to 3 years? And then you see that if you give them that role, by doing that role, they're actually moving towards that direction. And now that's how you capitalize on this incentive caused bias. People with a vested interest in something, no, this is not, so I need to correct this. But for the planning fallacy, we always think that the time we have appointed for the for something to happen, it will happen in that time, but it always go longer than we expect. That's the planning fallacy. So when you are planning the work and planning to achieve something, it will probably take longer than expected. That's why discipline and to stay in touch with the direction you're taking and the reason why you started in the first place is actually one of the most important aspect of running a business. Okay. So bystander apathy. So it explains why groups like committees never get anything done. Everyone assumes someone else will set it up. This is amazing because they ran a test, a social test in New York, I believe, and two strangers passed by and one pretended to stab the other. And there were people circulating going around, but no one actually saved them. Because everyone kept saying, oh, the police is going to come. Everyone kept saying, oh, there's someone who will come and save them and so forth. So the bystander apathy, this is one of the biggest bottleneck in operations. And that is why you need systems in your business, because now everyone will know what to do, when to do it. It will not be a question of, oh, who is going to do it? It's going to be a question, has it been done? Yes or no? And why? If it was no. So beware of that. Bystander apathy, this is a psychological nature that we have in us of keep saying, you see something that needs to be fixed, but you say, someone is going to fix it. But in your company culture, you have to tell people that in this company, when you see a problem, you do two things. You flag it or you fix it. If it's not in your department, flag it. If it's in your department, it's time to fix it. Gather resources and fix it. Bystander apathy. That is it. Now, convergence is the tendency of group members to become more alike over time. This is what's known in business terms as company culture. You see what I was saying? Divergence is the tendency of group members to become less like other group members over time. So this will happen in companies. Convergence will happen, but also divergence will happen. This can be caused by a conflict or simple growth of a company. So beware of that. Beware of that. When it happens, you say, okay, this is convergence. Because when people stick together for a very long time, they end up, becoming more like citizens of the same neighborhood or the same city or village and so forth. So it happens all the time. Part 2 of leading people, influence. So the technique number 1 of influence is something called state mode framework. By the way, if you derive value in this video, please go ahead and like it and subscribe and share it with your colleagues so that we can, reach more people. So the state mode framework goes like this. So share your facts, tell your story, ask questions, talk tentatively, and encourage testing. So the way you influence people, you start with the facts. The facts are there. It's a problem that needs to be solved. Then you tell a story. It could be that, let's say, the customer net promoter score has dropped from 5 to 2. And you notice this because you met maybe Chris in a local supermarket and he told you how he had a really bad experience. And now you ask the employee, so what happened? And then they will ask you and so forth. And then you tell them, okay, this is what you can do, A, B, C, D, or this A, B, C, D, or three A, B, C, D. Now go ahead and test them and come back and let's reassess and validate and then set an answer. So that's one way of it, providing influence. The reason why this is influential is because you're not accusing anyone, you're sharing facts and stories and asking questions. It's there because people cannot butter it. So this is very efficient because instead of blaming employees, instead of blaming other external factors, sharing the facts, it shows that, okay, everyone is involved now, all hands on deck, let's solve it. So don't be the blaming boss. Don't be the kind of boss that, go ahead and blame everyone because work is not done. Now, if it's in one-on-one conversation, you can blame the employee. Tell them you were supposed to do 15 calls today. You did not do 15, you did 5. What happened? Are they slacking? Why are they slacking? And why are they demotivated? So I think it's Jeff Bezos who said it. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your customers. So you always have to be on the side of the employees, and it's you and the employee facing the problem, not you fighting with the employee. So that's how you motivate people and you influence them. Okay. So technique number 2 is the golden trifecta. So appreciation, courtesy, and respect. I rest my case. This is what I was talking about. Appreciation, courtesy, and respect. Because when someone is not appreciated, they will not be motivated. Courtesy is being kind, being civilized, being a gentleman, being a lady. Respect is, respect their opinion, give them their own credit where it is due. Okay. And then you will have sane employees because people are going through a lot. We should not also forget that people are going through a lot in their personal lives with their wives and husbands and kids and family and all kinds of things. Now, if the workplace is the only place they feel appreciated and respected, how do you think they're going to perform? They will perform so well because you have given them the golden trifecta, what they don't even get from their wives and husbands. That's how you build loyalty, because you always, no matter what happens, in front of the customer, you side with the customer, but in behind closed doors, you're on the side of the employee. It's you and them facing the problem, not the other way around. When you demonstrate competence, reliability, good judgment, skill, or the capacity to deliver positive results, your earned regards increases. I think this applies to employees and managers. So if you are a manager, you lead by example. I'm not saying you should know everything, but you should at least demonstrate the willingness to develop your competence in your area. Let's say you're newly promoted, you have no direct management experience, and so forth. So you want to be in a position where the employees know that they can rely on you. Good judgment, skill, capacity to deliver positive results, then you earn your regard. Employees, I know employees might respect you because you are their boss and everything, but they have to also regard you at a higher level. If you've ever worked for a company where the boss had held a high regard, they say the same things. He's really hardworking, he's kind, he has really good judgment, he's extremely skilled. This guy is competent to lead us. And this happens in every organization, in business, in government, in the army, everywhere. Okay, so earned regard. So you have to earn it. You might hire them, but regard is earned. It's not given. So people tend to comply with authority figures. So that's normal. So breaking a promise can have a negative impact on someone's reputation. So people usually try to maintain consistency with their previous positions and promises. So this happens in sales, where you get people to say yes, and they want to stay consistent with that answer. But also, speaking of commitment and consistency as a culture that you need to have in the business, People who join your company should know that they have a saying that says, here we complete the job. We finish what we start. And that is a reputation. And when you have built that reputation in the company and everyone follows it, it becomes very easy to actually have people follow through, whether they are new or they're still at the company. So commitment and consistency is one of those. They're very key. So referrals, we know referrals what they are. And before we close, one of the other biggest thing when it comes to culture is also making sure that people can you have to avail yourself as a leader when you're leading people. It's impossible to lead people when you're not reachable. Your office has to be always open. Your office has to be always open for complaints, for ideas. You should not send employees to HR only. No, you have to tell the employee you can always skip the line and come to me and speak to me and tell me what is not working. So I hope this video was value packed and you derived insights that you can go ahead and apply in your business directly. And I will see you in the next one.